Project 42 is an interdisciplinary body of work that I started in 2012. The concept of the work is that we are creating a body of memorial garments that are honoring and memorializing the lives of transgender and gender nonconforming people who've been murdered in America. So when I first began to think about transitioning and really realizing that in order to survive I needed to transition, I was doing a lot of research about the trans community and what the trans community was like. I started to read about the median life expectancy of trans people and how low that median life expectancy really was.
Project 42 is just, it's another way for trans people to be properly remembered, because oftentimes they're misgendered in the articles that are written about them. Takes weeks for family to find out who they are, where they are, who did it. The cases go unsolved. It's a scream to the world. It's like it's a call to action. This is an economic issue. It's not just a trans issue. This is a people issue. But the Black and brown trans women of color that are being murdered are the catalyst. I guess they are being the vessels to being like this. This needs to change.
Within the community, this was a pretty well-known issue. Sometimes more than 90% of the trans people and gender nonconforming people murdered each year in America are trans women of color. The intersectionality of their identities really creates this sort of whirlwind of oppression and discrimination that places them into situations that are unsafe, which lead to their lives being taken in these acts of violence. And most of this research was coming from public health clinics, public health studies, social work studies, and academic studies. The life expectancies were projected for the entire trans community to be about between 25 and 32, depending on who you were reading. So I started to do my own research. It became evident to me that there was sort of this reality of age, race, economic class, education that was affecting this murder rate. So what my goal was to gather all the research I could and figure out what is an accurate portrayal of what a larger median life expectancy might be. And the number that I came up with is 42. And that number is a number that has stuck with the project the whole time. It's become like the essence of the project. So I think that the piece that we're going to see now is a really good piece to contextualize the project and how the project's changed. This is probably one of the most complicated objects of art I've ever made. The train of the work is 30 foot long, and the way that we have it hung at City Hall is that the train is 60 feet and up in the air. At one point there was about 6 or 7 of us working on it. In total it took about 1,000 hours to make this piece. And so the question then is how long is that sustainable? How do you keep a project going? Once you hit that type of level of production, there becomes questions about how you treat every individual. These are individuals who are predominantly from marginalized communities, who are predominantly underrepresented, who don't come from histories often that would afford somebody the opportunity to have a flag with something on it that only speaks about them, and to have someone carry that flag, disrupting power relationships and disrupting oppressive systems, that this person's life is valuable enough to create something for that person that is equal to the type of treatment that in the past was only an option for the highest levels of society. visibility really does create vulnerability, but it also creates the opportunity to fight as a group, which previously wasn't afforded prior to the internet. The garments are, village-made pieces. They're made through multiple hands, spending hours creating this work. Some of the people from TEDx Seattle saw my work at Seattle Art Museum. I've never really wanted to be the face of the project. I always want the project to really be focused on the issue and the individuals that we memorialize. And after hearing that there would be about 2,500 people in attendance, plus the online outreach of the videos, I really thought that it was an excellent opportunity to raise awareness of the issue. At that time, there was only a couple websites that were really reporting these deaths. And I went to one of those websites and I just started at a line of like a year. I think it was 2009. And I just counted 42 names. There was two parts to this idea. The first idea was that people don't want to talk about this issue. And so I had to come up with some type of subversive way to enter them into dialogue. And so I had to present them with something that was accessible in order to get them to stop and learn. Abstraction is just so misunderstood. And, even something like Impressionism at one time was revolution. Now it's on every chocolate box. The idea that for the greater populace, abstraction is something to look past. But yet, within the history of abstraction is a form of violence and a revolution and an attempt to overthrow traditions and histories. The public understood abstract painting with the same misunderstanding that they misunderstood transness and what kind of transness was acceptable.